Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is this? The second? Only the second? That sounds weird when I say the second, because we've been doing it so long with the other podcast, the comics podcast. But now this is the second popcorn podcast, and I have a couple of co-hosts here with me tonight. Let's start out with who is that there? Oh, it's Natalie. How are you, Natalie?
Oh, just Natalie. Wasn't expecting you to be there or anything. It's cool. I showed up. I'm here. What's up?
You made it.
I ran from a yoga class at Disneyland, you guys. It was awesome. I got to take a yoga class in the Dream Suite at Disneyland. It was cool.
Pretty cool. All right, so we've got you, and then I think our second co-host just finished a workout as well. I'm starting to feel particularly lazy right now. So Luke's back. Well, actually, Luke's first appearance on this podcast, but Luke is back. How are you doing tonight, Luke?
I'm doing good. A little tired,
So what did you just finish up? You just finished up
I did something called The Challenge. It's on P90X3. It's pretty fun. You just do push-ups and pull-ups for like 40 minutes.
Wow, you guys, I had a headache most of the day. So. I went swimming this morning. I took the kids to swim lessons.
Did you actually go in the pool?
Yeah, I take the baby in.
Okay.
Tomorrow, we switch off. Whoever has the morning available. Tomorrow morning will probably be the wife. But this morning I took the baby in, and then my 4-year-old Lorelai, she's kind of in a little other section learning how to swim of the pool.
Aw, so cute.
Yeah, so she's loving it. She's jumping off the side. They let me jump off the side. And she's diving in the water, and because we just
catch me.
We just went to Havasu a couple weeks ago, and man, they were loving it but they had life jackets on. But now we have to teach them how to swim. It's very important.
Yes, very important.
So let's jump into our first topic of the day, night, whenever you listen to this. The first topic of this podcast, we're going to talk about our top 3 favorite current TV shows that are playing on television or on Netflix. I guess you could say Amazon Prime. I don't think are there any shows on Amazon Prime that are even worth any originals that are even worth watching yet?
I don't even know what's on Amazon Prime, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
wasn't there that show from the guy who was in Chuck? And he plays this miniature, burglar.
I haven't heard about that.
Sounds hysterical.
I read about it in Entertainment Weekly, and I heard it was really good.
Huh. I'll have to. Well, because they did try to do what was the zombie one? Zombieland? Is it? Zombieland, they tried to turn that movie into a show. They did a pilot on Amazon Prime, and it fell flat. It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. So let's start off with our top 3s. Why don't you start us off tonight, Natalie? What is your third? What is it in your top 3? What is your third favorite current television show right now?
It's hard to pick the third because I love all 3, but what I'm going to mention tonight is the third is a television show called Haven. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. I think it's supposed to come back near the end of this year. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, it comes back. But it's all about this main character named Audrey Parker, and she goes to this town in Rhode Island, and everyone has what they call troubles. Troubles are basically people can move things, people can interact with the world around them in ways that you can't in the real world. So, for instance, my favorite episode was, I think it's called Christmas Time or Snow Globe. This girl, she's having problems at home, her brain's not working correctly, but she's infatuated with this snow globe that her father gave her. And so, slowly but surely, everything in this town starts turning into this Christmas snow globe that she's obsessed with. Now, the only person that's not affected by the troubles in this town is our lead character, Audrey Parker. And so the TV show up until this last season has been about her going from person to person, helping them realize what their trouble is and get through it, which has been very exciting. There have been some twists and turns and unexpected things happen. But then we find out that Audrey Parker has not only been to this town once, nor twice, nor 3 times. It has happened multiple times in the last 100 or so years. And every time she disappears after a set amount of time, and it's always when there's like a meteor that hits the town. So we're now dealing with who is Audrey Parker, how come she couldn't remember her past lives, and where is she coming from, where is she going to, and why is she here continually saving this town, and why is it, you know, a complete like cyclical circle that's never ending. Ta-da! That's Haven.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I watched a show like that's on right before Haven called Warehouse 13.
Okay.
Which is over.
Which is over now. It's so
So
sad.
sad.
But is Haven one of those shows you could watch any episode and sort of get it? Like if you know the...
No, I wouldn't say so.
Or is it like storyline, like you can't see episode 7 before you see episode 5?
You know, it's one of those things where it depends on where you watch. Because when they do like a series of episodes, there might be 3 episodes that you could watch number 3 and be like, I don't really understand what's going on, but okay, I get it. But if you know like the basic storyline, what I just said of the show, you probably could pick up an episode and go, oh, I don't know these characters, but I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get to the kind of feature of the week ones, and they do it occasionally, I've been out of it for about a season, maybe 2 now. I watched the first couple. You can see it for that kind of feature of the week, like she's talking about who has their troubles, or basically their ex powers, and how to deal with them. But the overall story arc of her and everything is you really. I mean, I had gone through where I missed a couple episodes, and you're so lost in understanding with what there's a couple main characters, and there's one that's supposed to kill troubled people, and it gets a little off-putting at that. It's a very good show. I need to go back and catch up. My issue was when I got into it, I think it must have been the 3rd season, when the other Audrey Parker came to town. And it just got really weird and a little too muddled for me, and it got put on a back burner. Now, did I just not give it enough chance into that 3rd season?
You know, there was a point in the 2nd season where that happened to me, where I was watching the storyline and I just purely didn't like what was happening, and I just kind of stuck through it for 3 episodes, and the 4th episode, everything kind of switched over. And they started a new long storyline in addition to those individual episode storylines.
Okay.
So if you find yourself watching it and you're not really interested, or you don't like the storyline, maybe give it 2 episodes and then try it again.
That's how most shows are for me. I have to watch like the first 5 episodes before I give it a chance or stop watching it.
Well, and I had watched the first couple of seasons of it. I'm talking literally about the 3rd, and it's been hard to get back into. But
you should watch it because they weren't being 100% truthful in those episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, like what they reveal towards the middle of the season makes you go, oh, okay.
All right. So Natalie, but what is Haven based on? Do you know? Do you remember? You do know. We've talked about this, I think.
If I did, I totally forgot. I think it's based on a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, it's based on a short story by Stephen King called The Colorado Kid, and I forget which book it's in, but it's in one of his conglomeration of stories.
Colorado Kid.
Well, yeah, I know it's my wife. I know it's The Colorado Kid, but it's inside of a whole book of short stories.
Oh,
I don't think it came out just as The Colorado Kid. But it's a pretty good realizing of it. So, Luke, why don't we move into your number 3?
My number 3... I didn't rank them.
You can choose.
I like Suits. That's my 3rd favorite show on. And the 3rd season just started the other day, so...
So why don't you tell us about Suits?
Suits is about... a guy who never went to Harvard or any law school at all, but he has a photographic memory, and he remembers anything he's seen, which makes him like anyone just instantly just super smart. So he has taken the bar for people, but he's never taken it like as himself, because like that's how he made money back in the day. He sold pot and he took tests for people. And then one day he's running from the police and he runs into an office where this guy is giving like a job interviews for working at a company that like a lawyer company. I forgot what they call a firm.
A law firm.
A law firm. Thank you. And,
lawyer company sounds better.
Thank you. I like that better. And he sits down and he opens up a computer and he's like, ask me anything about the law. And he asks him all these questions and he's getting them right. Bang, bang, bang. And he's like, well, I don't need a computer for that. And then he says, neither do I. Turns it around. It's like a game of solitaire. So he gets hired and the show is about him trying to like dodge the fact that he's not bar certified or whatever. And he's never been to law school because they only hire people from Harvard there. And it's a really great show. It's like a good balance of drama and romance and all this cool stuff.
Romance? Or romance?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of reading up on that before the show. And it's a USA Network show. And they have some pretty good shows like that on there.
Yeah, I think they had Burn Notice, too, back in the day.
Yeah.
That had Bruce Campbell on it. That was a pretty good show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move into my number 3. And for my number 3, I'm going to go with Supernatural. Now, Supernatural, I started watching probably about season 2, and have watched religiously since then. And you can imagine that's been a very long time since they're going into season 10. It's available on Netflix. If anybody has never watched Supernatural, it's just a fantastically fun show. The mythology and everything that surrounds it, and the Winchesters and the Winchester brothers, is a lot of fun. A lot of play.
The boys are super dreamy.
How do you hear and not know this? You need to see this. They're good-looking dudes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about that. They are definitely the CW. When they started out, most CW actors or actresses, they start out very young and very pretty and perfect. And they also start. If you actually start and watch it on the Netflix, and they're still very good-looking, but more rugged men now than the young boys that they started as, because they've lasted 10 years. And you can kind of see where they've grown as characters and in the mythology. But what I really enjoy about it is the relationship between the Winchester brothers, Dean and Sam. And it's just something that over the years has really solidified. And there's real believability behind their feelings for each other and what they do for each other. I like the show's take on religion and angels and all that stuff. Have you guys watched Supernatural at all?
I used to watch it. I watched the first season, and then I have all the other episodes downloaded. I just haven't gotten time. But I agree with what you're saying, that the CW is really good at picking like good-looking people.
Well, like super people. They're like the old guys on the network now, because they did start. It's kind of
weird to think about. Because they started out like looking super young, like Babyface, and
yes,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if you do watch that first season, or even just turn on a show, again, like I said, it's on Netflix. All the seasons are on Netflix, I think, except for 9 was just finished up. But just they've had great characters come in and out. The story arcs are phenomenal. And you really feel for the characters. I mean, I don't want to do too many spoilery things if anybody ever decides to do it, but just like one of the main characters through, I think, the first 8 seasons was Bobby, and he was a hunter with them and had been friends with their father for many, many years. And I think he showed up in season 1 or season 2, and he really becomes their father figure throughout the course. And you could tell where people decided that they liked the character. And what's the actor's name? What's the actor's name who plays Bobby? It's I can't think of his name right now. Wonderful actor. He's been on Justified and been on a million different things.
I love Justified.
But just when they end up, I like Justified too. I'm actually behind on it. I've got the whole season on the DVR. I need to catch up on it.
Oh my god, so good.
So Yeah, it's a great show. Timothy Oliphant is fantastic. He was made to play that. It's not one of our top three, but Timothy Oliphant played. It's almost a similar character to what he played in Deadwood.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
Deadwood's a good one too.
Yeah, he was fantastic in Deadwood, and then he plays this almost out of time, Marshall.
Kind of.
Yeah, guy in Justified, but Jim Beaver is who plays Bobby, and he's been in a million different things. But the relationship that they're able to develop over the 7 or 8 year span, and when they do lose each other, you really feel the pain and the emotion. And any show that can really grip me emotionally is a good one, because not very many can do it. Not very many things.
What originally hooked you onto the show, Chad?
It's the name Supernatural. I mean, they're fighting demons and werewolves, and it's kind of X-File-y, to where there is that kind of monster feature of the week, but there is the underlying story arc, and it's usually, of course, one big one each year where this is going to happen or the whole world's going to collapse or whatever. For a long time, one of them would get killed, and the next season would be the other one bringing them back, but yeah, it's that very vampire. They really touch on just about everything: vampires and werewolves and shapeshifters, and they kind of give it this almost believability. They even had an episode with it. They had a play on. It's a different world than ours, and they actually got transferred to our world. To where they were actors and it was a show, and it was I should have written down the name of that show, but that one's excellent, to where it really just is this play to where this stuff doesn't work in our world, but this is the supernatural world and where it exists.
Cool.
So Natalie, what is your number 2?
My number 2 would be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Which I'm sure lots of people have at least seen one episode of that.
So why is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. your number 2?
I like tuning in every week and seeing what kind of Easter egg they plop in an episode that either relates back to one of the Marvel movies we've seen in the last few years, or could possibly relate to a future Marvel movie that we know is coming down the line.
Like they did with Winter Soldier.
Like they did with Winter Soldier, yes. And just like after the second Thor movie came out, the next 2 episodes were all fully dealing with the aftermath of that movie. So,
which is what you wanted to see, Everyone wanted what happens after.
Which is why we signed up for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to begin with. I mean, the first part of the season, I was watching going, I don't know. It almost lost me as an audience member. But like you said, Luke, I had to watch about 5 episodes till I was like, okay, I get these characters. And then after Thor hit theaters and we came into the next episode, I was like, done, sold. I'm going to get my Easter eggs here. I'm going to learn about things that we don't know about. And then now I can go back in those episodes and go, they totally set us up, and I wasn't even prepared.
Now, we're going to get a whole lot more of that very soon with the addition of Jessica Jones and Daredevil and all these Netflix shows, when they're all going to be coming from the shared universe. Is that obviously Marvel? If anybody can pull that off, especially a shared universe, Marvel can. Is anyone afraid of oversaturation?
I think since they don't have any preemptive experience with kind of interlacing shows like that successfully or at all, I can't place any time they've ever done that. I think they're gonna try and take pages out of DC's book on it, and I think they might have a little bit of oversaturation because they already have all these different characters they're working on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because the show originally was supposed to be just about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then they get more ratings with the more Easter eggs or cameo characters they put in there. Like when they had what's-her-face from Thor in there for an episode. That was their highest rated episode of the season. I don't know. They every time they get Samuel Jackson in there.
Jackson.
Yeah. they get higher ratings because he's from the Avengers and blah blah blah. So as long as they keep the oversaturation, like a good balance with their cameos, and they just don't throw it in there just to throw something in there, because I hate doing something just for the act of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only issue with it is because Shield can be really based anywhere, but in general, like the Avengers and Daredevil and a lot of these core characters are based in New York, and that's what I'm afraid of, is that oversaturation in New York. You're gonna have Daredevil, and if there is Avengers 2, will have to absolutely directly affect things that happen to Daredevil right there in Hell's Kitchen.
If they keep them in the cinematic universe, yeah, which they are planning to.
They are, yeah. I have inside information. They're absolutely keeping it in Hell's Kitchen in the cinematic universe.
Chad, to answer your question, I'm not worried about oversaturation. I think at the point that we're at right now is I would kind of welcome a little bit of oversaturation, because I feel like that portion of my nerdy life is not fulfilled yet. We have to wait so long for the next movie to come out, and then I only get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. once a week, and then I have a complete hiatus from it. I think a little bit of oversaturation and crossover, even with those TV shows like Daredevil and S.H.I.E.L.D., will introduce the viewers that are watching S.H.I.E.L.D. to possibly go watch Daredevil as well. And vice versa. People who start watching Daredevil might cross over and start watching S.H.I.E.L.D. just because they know their main character might be crossing over into that storyline. So at first I think a little bit of oversaturation is going to be welcome, at least by me.
Now, how do they also, and again, these are questions that we're just tossing around. Daredevil will be running as Daredevil, and then the other, I think, was the Defenders. And there's a few. They're doing 3 shows. Jessica Jones. They're going to be all you can eat filmed at once. So how do they deal timeline wise if it's a shared universe? So you have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes out when they want it to. This episode comes out after Avengers, is released, and so on and so forth, so they can balance that timeline. But we released Daredevil all at once, so you can watch it all at once, so you really can't control that timeline in that way. So it will be a little harder to mesh those timelines.
It will be, but with some really good writers and some really good creativity, I think that they'll be able to figure it out. Because there'll be something fantastic if you watch Daredevil and you're going through every episode and you're like, there's a cliffhanger somewhere that never gets answered, and you're sitting there looking around like, well, what's going to happen? What happened? There's that one thing that they never addressed. And finally an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes out, and here's Daredevil, and that cliffhanger gets resolved.
Yeah, I'd be very curious how they handle that timeliney type of stuff. So we're on Luke's number 2, right?
Yeah.
I suppose my number 2 right now is definitely Adventure Time.
Now, I know nothing about Adventure Time.
What?
I don't. Come on. I think it's not my age group.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it.
So
please
it's
inform
everyone's
us.
age group.
Yeah, Luke and I know all about it.
Adventure Time is based in a post-apocalyptic world where there's kind of like this radiation, blah, blah, blah. It's years and years and years and years and years after everyone's already gone, and the world is populated by, like, candy people. There's different princesses and kings, and it's based around 2 people, Finn and Jake. Jake is a dog who is, like, very elastic. He can mold his body into any shape, and which really helps when they're, like, fighting things. And Finn is a human. He's probably the only human you'll ever see in the show. He was raised by Jake and Jake's dad, so they were raised side by side. And then the show started off ridiculous, like super silly, makes a lot of adult humor in there, like you don't even know about it. And then as the show progresses, Pendleton Ward, the creator of the show, starts slipping in some serious, like, deep themes in there. Like, we just learned who, like, Finn's dad was, and that now they're just starting to save the world again, because the last time they had to save it from, like, this darkness, nightmare creature called the Lich. And I don't know, they're adding a lot of darker themes, which is kind of introducing kids into, like, more adult shows and stuff. Like, I would rather a kid watch Adventure Time before they watch Young Justice, because Young Justice is like super dark, all right from the beginning. But I don't know. I just like the idea of mixing adult themes into a kid show. Like Ren and Stimpy, there's a good example.
I remember Ren and Stimpy. I remember that.
You don't think Adventure Time is your show?
I have not tried. I mean, listening to what you have to say, I might give it a shot a couple of episodes. But I have. I mean,
our kids watch Adventure.
Apparently, our kids watch Adventure Time.
There is a lumpy space princess and a character that looks like an old Game Boy.
Oh yeah, BMO. BMO and LSB.
It's incredibly popular, and I think there's an Adventure Time thing at Comic-Con that I don't know.
Yeah, people dress up as the characters from it all the time.
And the voice of Finn was at the Comic-Con I was at last.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's big. I don't know anything about it other than it is extremely popular.
Mm-hmm. You should.
Look, isn't there a girl character that looks like Finn?
Oh, Fiona. That's it. They have an alternate universe. So the Ice King, he writes fan fiction, and whenever he reads the fan fiction, they cut it and they make it. All the girl characters are the boy characters, and all the boy characters are the girl characters. So they have like Marceline is Marshall Lee, the Ice King is the Ice Queen, Finn is Fiona, Jake is Cake. Like they switch out all the characters for the female and male counterparts.
That's awesome.
It's just one of the most creative shows you'll ever watch. Like he also makes a show called Bravest Warriors, which is also equally crazy. But since it's on YouTube, he has much more pull. He doesn't really have to, stick with the kid audience. And a lot of the stuff in Bravest Warriors is the artwork of Adventure Time plus a lot more jokes they're allowed to make. Sex jokes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to put that on the. Apparently, my kids watch it. I'll have to ask them about it. Maybe Dad will jump in on a couple episodes with them.
You know what? If you don't enjoy Adventure Time, try out Bravest Warriors. It's on YouTube. They already have like 2 seasons posted up. It's a great show.
Cool. All right. So that comes around to my number 2, which I have to, between my number 2 and number 1, I almost have to flip a coin. I am gonna go with Doctor Who. And
you're such a bandwagoner.
You know what? And I will fully admit I'm a bandwagoner. But what I won't admit is that I'm a bandwagoner to this type of television or genre, because obviously I live my life, in sci-fi and geekery. But Doctor Who just never came across my purview until my brother about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, just kept bugging me. He's like, you need to watch Doctor Who. You need to watch it. You'll love it. I know you'll love it. And he's actually the one that got me into watching Supernatural. And I mean, obviously, he's my brother. There's so many things that we like, especially TV shows that are the same. So I started watching on Netflix, and I think I blew through every season of it. Well, every season of the new Who, in probably about 2 or 3 weeks, so quite a few, and then have gone through and rewatched it again, at least the first 2 or 3 seasons with my wife. I blew through it without her, and then now she wants to rewatch it, so we've been rewatching it together. So I've watched it quite a bit. Now, what I think Doctor Who does, because Natalie watches. Do you watch it at all, Luke?
The reason I don't watch it is because I love the reaction of all the nerds when I say I don't. Because then they go, "Oh, you have to watch it. Oh, you have to watch it." And I'm like, "Nah, never gonna watch it."
If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it.
No, I mean the only reason I don't watch it, I know I would love it, is because I love just making people. I just love it. I love saying no.
You can still tell people you don't watch it and get that reaction.
That's not as fun.
You could lie. You could lie.
I'm not a liar, Chad. Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So, for me, what was so great about Doctor Who was it took me about the first season. I was almost the entire first season to actually like it. I got through. I really did not like the 9th Doctor. I still don't like him. I don't like him as a person.
It's kind of harsh.
He's a douchebag. I think. Oh no, you were on that. We were talking about him on. What's the actor? I can't remember the actor's name right now. We were talking about him on the Last Capes podcast, and he was in Thor: The Dark World, but he actually refused to come back. The only current Doctor that refused to come back for the 50th anniversary, and he just has this very high and mighty attitude. He's too good for Doctor Who.
Which probably is what launched his career, I'm guessing.
You know who should be? You know who should be the next Doctor? Hugh Laurie. I thought he should have been the next Doctor when they were picking. He would be an awesome Doctor, wouldn't he?
I've never seen the show. Doctor.
I would love him as the Doctor.
Actually, someone tweet. Oh, is that you tweeting, Luke? I just finished schooling. I was like, I thought someone was tweeting us about Adventure Time, and it's you. But yeah, actually, Hugh Laurie might be an interesting Doctor.
He's a little older, but that's a good thing. The first Doctor was super old, right? The black and white BBC one.
Well, the current Doctor that they just signed on is quite a bit older, so they are testing those waters. Yeah. So, but it really took me till I got to the David Tennant era, and I love David Tennant. I think David Tennant is my kind of wackiness and humor and intensity, and the relationship he had with his companion, with Rose. I've gone back and watched the episode where they were separated so many times, and man, at least the first 5 or 6 times it brought tears to my eyes. And any show that can do that, I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And
you like shows that write about separation. It sounds like.
No, I don't like shows that write about separation. I like shows that affect me emotionally. All right. I mean, there's shows that you can watch, that are just funny, but to me those are good 30-minute Big Bang Theory, stuff like that just give you a couple of laughs, but you never really have to make any kind of emotional connection to the characters. If I'm watching an hour-long drama, I want to feel some kind of emotional connection.
Like Parenthood. Parenthood makes me cry every episode.
I have never watched it.
You'll cry. You'll cry like a baby.
Yeah, I probably would. I'm a parent,
weeping. You know what I like about Doctor Who?
Yes.
And I'm not like an avid watcher. I'm not a Who head or whatever they're called. I randomly will watch episodes when I'm at home and it's on TV. I love that every episode is like a dream. When I watch an episode, I go, oh, it's like a dream I once had.
Yeah, they're a little wacky.
Kind of don't make sense, but they kind of make sense if you let it just go and you don't think about it too hard. You're like, yeah, no, that streamline just, okay, I can go with that.
It's the timey-wiminess of it.
Yeah, I love that.
Timey-wiminess. That's what. I think that was during the David Tennant era. They came up with timey-wimey as an explanation for a lot of stuff. Russell T Davies. All right, so we're getting to wrap up this segment with our number ones.
Wait, hold on a second. Can I just say that any show with a laugh track is a bad show? Not because you said Big Bang Theory, and I had to say that any show with a laugh track is a terrible show. I don't understand why that is the most popular show in America.
Why?
Let's say you take out the laugh tracks, it's them going like joke, awkward silence. It's the weirdest thing you'll ever see. Watch anything without a laugh track that has a laugh track originally, and it's annoying. I just can't do it.
I think for me it's like junk food, to where we watch a lot of dramas now that really do affect us, or even there's other ones that are very emotional and emotionally draining, like we will talk about here in a second. And to just be able to turn on something that really just kind of lightens the mood and is just simple,
ridiculous
It is. It's ridiculous. It's funny. They have just something. It's it's like almost like modern day Seinfeld. Seinfeld was the show about nothing. It was, but
I don't like being told when to laugh.
Oh, see, I'm the person that the laugh track is put in for, because whenever the laugh track is going on, I'm already laughing, and so it's giving me a moment to finish my laughter and go chuckle, so that I can hear the next joke. Okay. Exactly. So that laugh track is when you hear that laugh track, just be like, oh, that's Natalie at home laughing.
Okay, so I'll just be annoyed at Natalie instead of the show.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's move on to our number one, so we have time for the other segments as well. So Natalie, your number one
is Game
of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Now, did choosing that make your head explode?
No, that was like the first thing I wrote.
Didn't
When
make
you
it
said, what are your top 3 favorites? I was like, Game of Thrones. What else do I watch?
One
Game
for
of
each
Thrones?
word.
Oh.
Game of Thrones. That's my favorite show.
Exactly.
So we will probably have a Game of Thrones. We've talked about a Game of Thrones, some other ones, a spoiler-ish cast. We'll give it a little more time. Why don't you just give us your generality this time? What's so great about Game of Thrones?
It's when I open a book to read it, this television show is all those books that I loved reading kind of combined into one. It's fantasy. It includes things that doesn't really happen in our real world, but you always kind of wished would happen. But it's also kind of set in the time period of back in the Tudors, so you could see what's happening in the show actually happen in our history if all these magical, mystical things really could happen. And I think that's why I love it. And there's always cliffhangers.
It's a phenomenal.
I don't want to say too much, but it's phenomenal.
Now,
and they've hired some really excellent actors. I have to say.
I was gonna say, I mean, how amazing is really all the acting on there, but is Peter Dinklage on that show?
Yeah, the greatest midget of all time.
I don't think that's very PC.
Wait,
they're little people.
That sounds worse.
Little people.
That sounds way worse.
Midget is a derogatory term.
Is it really?
I'm sorry for all the midgets. I'm sorry, little people that listen to this show. We're sorry for Luke.
Okay. I don't know. I think little people sounds a little demeaning, doesn't it?
I think that is the proper term.
Is it really?
Yeah,
okay.
it actually
I'll start
is,
using
yeah,
it until someone corrects me.
Yeah.
Whoever is offended, we apologize for not knowing the proper term. We don't mean offense. How about that?
I guess it was 50-50 because I said he used the most, and it just comes back down.
You know who else is just fantastic in the show is the woman who plays Cersei Lannister. I think her name is Lena Headey.
I saw her in a couple shows recently, and she is just amazing in everything she does.
Yeah, she played Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah.
A few years back, and was phenomenal in that, which was a short-lived one-season show.
Oh, well. That's okay. We have her on Game of Thrones. The girl who plays Daenerys Targaryen. I mean, her character arch is just going and going and going, and
Emilia Clarke.
Yes, Emilia Clarke. She's just fantastic.
And she's hot.
True.
I'll give her that. I mean, we basically saw her naked.
We actually have seen her naked in her first episode.
In the first episode.
Yeah.
But since then, they
when her brother was getting all weird with her.
Oh man, that was the best thing when they just melted his face. Oh god.
Crown of gold.
Yeah, they gave him the crown of gold. That was great. All right, we will have a full-on Game of Thrones discussion. Hopefully, I would say let's give it another couple of weeks, maybe into August, and we'll maybe have a little bit of a season-by-season dissection of it on the show. Where we'll be doing that with Doctor Who as well, coming up in August, because Doctor Who will be coming back in August for its 51st year. So Luke, what is your number one?
My number one TV show that's currently on, since I couldn't say Psych because Psych just ended, was Arrow. It's because I'm a huge nerd. Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that gives me my superhero fix, but it's super corny. So for a more serious take on the superhero thing, I go to Arrow. And, although I wanted to put Flash because I just saw the pilot, but we can't talk
I wouldn't let him. Because it's not current yet. I mean, it's not really out, and we can't really talk about it. I mean, we can talk about it and hypothesize about it, but it's not a series that's been fleshed out enough for us to really talk
delve
about as a
into.
favorite. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I like that it has all these cameo characters. It stays true to the comic, besides one thing, the goatee, which it's not Stephen Amell's choice, and he's growing one out right now. He's gonna take it to the producers and be like, "Hey, let's use this thing." Um, I just love that it's got so much potential as a show, and as for the DC cinematic universe, they're branching into it. They have Flash coming, and then from that, they have all these great characters that they're going to branch into their own show, like the Atom they were talking about, and I don't know. It's probably my favorite show. The season 2 just took it to another level.
Yeah. Yeah, season 1, I think
that was the putting everything together.
A little bit.
Yeah,
faltered a little bit about mid-season. Picked it up the last couple of episodes, and then season 2. Season 2 took off with it really well. I think
because
season
of Deathstroke. That's what did it.
It did, but when they really, really started focusing on Deathstroke towards the end of the season, or I would say 2/3 into it, it did stutter a little bit. And then the last couple episodes of the season were excellent.
I agree.
All right, so that brings it around to my number 1, which is... Can anybody take a guess? But what will my number 1 be?
I mean, you always talk about it.
I do. It's The Walking Dead.
That's what I was
Now, The Walking Dead is phenomenal, and it goes with everything that you've heard me talking about, which is emotions and investment and heartache and really getting emotionally invested in a series. But they do teach you not to get too emotionally invested into every character. What I love about The Walking Dead, as well as Game of Thrones, is that pretty much no character is safe. Maybe Rick, but pretty much no character is safe, and that's what makes so many shows. I'll use a perfect example, Revolution. I really enjoyed Revolution. I think it deserved a 3rd season, but the main characters. In general, the main characters were never really threatened, that you would never... There was almost no chance of losing these main characters. But in The Walking Dead, you don't know week to week if they're going to kill your favorite character. And how they're going to present different characters and how it's going to be presented as a threat. And it's just this excellent study on what would happen if an apocalypse, it doesn't even have to be a zombie threat. If the world shut down, if we lost all of our, electronics and most of our infrastructure, if that stuff happened, what would happen to us? Who would we become? How would we act? All those different things. And I think it's just an excellent character study in that.
Wasn't that show based on a comic originally?
Yeah, I have the graphic novel. I was about to say that. I've never seen the show, but I have the graphic novel over here, and it is phenomenal. It is one of the best graphic novels of all time.
So you haven't seen the show, Luke. Chad, have you read the graphic novel?
I've read every single comic. It's actually a comic that they put into an omnibus, and it's actually up to issue 129 now. Those omnibuses cover issues 1 through 43, I think it is, and then 44 through 96.
So you're still within the universe that's already been written about and created.
Yes, we still are. But there's obviously some liberties. It's not the same exact universe. You do have a lot of similar characters, but they do enter the storylines in different ways. They do exit the storylines at different times in different ways. They are presented as some are bad, some are good. So for the most part, you do get to see a lot of similar characters, but some of the storylines that X character may have experienced in the book, Y character experiences in the show. So they do some very, very cool things.
So it's more loosely based on, as opposed to Game of Thrones, where they're really trying to follow the story arc and character arcs from the books.
It is used as reference material.
Okay.
You don't want to look at it and go, well, shit, this is, this didn't happen. For example, so like the governor. the governor was, I mean, a horrible piece of shit in both incarnations. But the governor in the comic is just an absolute psychopath. The moment he meets Rick, he chops off his hand just to prove a point. And then they imprison Michonne, and he beats and rapes Michonne until she escapes. I mean, so many things that Michonne actually returns and cuts him to pieces, cuts off his junk, does everything, and then that's what spurns him to come back to the prison and want to kill everybody. He actually does survive, and actually Bob, who is do you know who Bob is in the show? The black guy that everybody kind of does, the alcoholic that do you know who I'm talking about, Natalie?
No, I don't watch the show.
Oh, you don't watch the show?
I get so scared.
Oh, okay.
I watched like the first 5 minutes of episode 1 and 2 and was like, I'm never watching this show again. It's too much for me. First 5 minutes.
So Bob is a character that just kind of appeared, and we don't really know his backstory too much, but he's with the current group right now. And in the comic, he was a medic, is actually a drunk that lived in with the governor, and actually didn't cure the governor, but saved the governor's life when Michonne chopped him up. So they use these characters, but they use them in different ways a lot of the time. So that will end that segment. That segment ran a lot longer than I even expected, but it was a lot of fun. Let's try and do a little bit. I mean, I know we can't do it justice based on time. Do you guys want to push the segment 2 to a different time, since we can't really do it justice?
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, because I think that's a big discussion in its own. We wanted to talk about cosplay as not consent, especially I have a couple of cosplayers. We had planned to have Alicia on here with us as well. It's a hot topic, and with San Diego Comic-Con coming up.
Yeah, and specifically there's a petition online where people want San Diego Comic-Con to create a section in their contract, basically, that says something about harassment and cosplayers, and so we were just going to talk about that. But
let's go ahead and talk. Let's spend 5 minutes on it since we already started. Now, Natalie? Why don't you give us a rundown on what cosplayers say or mean when they say cosplay is not consent?
So cosplay is not consent is basically saying that just because I'm dressed up, just because I'm in a costume, whether it is a sexy costume, a non-sexy costume, whatever I'm wearing, just because I'm wearing it doesn't mean that anyone else can show any sort of inappropriate behavior towards me, whether it's touching me, whether it's talking towards me, or taking pictures without asking. Just because I'm dressed up doesn't mean I am public property for you to do whatever you want with. AKA, you should still show respect when you're talking to someone. Never touch someone that you don't know without asking them, may I put my arm around you? Or even taking their picture. Hey, can I get a picture of your costume? You look fantastic. Would all be ways to correctly approach someone in a cosplay, as opposed to the cosplay is not consent, just taking a picture of a cosplayer from the backside without asking. Grabbing someone's tush that's obviously inappropriate. Or just saying anything derogatory.
Let me ask you a question on that. So I get that, because I've been around you and other cosplayers when other people were trying to take pictures of backsides and things like that. But you are in a public setting. You don't want to. Obviously you don't want to be the creeper, but if I just see cosplayers in a setting, I just want to take pictures. Is that obviously you're in a public setting? If it's do you get what I'm saying?
Here's the thing: if you are at a convention and you're staring at a room of 50 cosplayers, and you pull out your camera because you're taking a picture of the ambiance, not a specific costume, yeah, of course, that's very general. It's very generic. But what we're talking about is when someone just walks up, stops you dead in your path, doesn't say anything, and just takes your picture, and is not allowing you to walk. When you're sitting down and having lunch, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to take your picture real fast," and it's happened to me in the metal bikini. where I'm like, oh, if you don't mind, I'd like to finish my lunch first, and then I would love to pose for you. And they just say, well, too bad, I already got my picture. The perfect example is I was filming one of my workout videos for Geek Out Your Workout. In my Battlestar Galactica costume, a gentleman in white walks up and says, can I get your picture? And I said, give me a moment, please. I'm filming a video. I'd love to pose for you. And you can watch him in my video go, whatever, take my picture and walk off. Now that is cosplay is not consent. Just because I'm in costume doing something doesn't mean you're allowed just to take my picture even after I say no or please wait.
Now, from a male perspective, what is your take on this, Luke?
If I'm already posing, it's fine for someone else, because then a lot of other people come, and it would take hours for someone to go one by one, hey, can I take a picture? Hey, can I take a picture? So what I do is, once I'm into a convention, I'll just start posing, get the pictures out of the way, do it for about an hour, and then that allows me to walk around, not harassed or ask for pictures. I've had people come up to me and just, put their arm around me and take a picture, and as a male, I'd be comfortable with that, but if I was a girl, that's a whole different one, because I'm head to toe covered. There's no way, I'm coming out in a skin-tight suit. If someone wants to take a picture, I can't really say no, because I can't see. This is how I see very much, my suit. If someone wants to take a picture, I can't really say no to that, but it would be nice if people didn't take pictures of my butt. Or
I think when it comes to asking, like you said, if we're already posing, if there's a group of photographers around, we know our picture's being taken.
Yeah.
Just don't be that photographer that takes a picture of my butt cheeks or up my skirt or of your junk. But when you're coming up to take a picture with me, that's when it's nice for someone to say, hey, can I take a picture with you? Yeah, dude, I would totally love to, especially if they're into whatever costume I'm wearing or the show that I'm representing. But, when people just come up and put their arms around you, I feel like they're crossing that bubble that you wouldn't cross for a normal person walking on the street. You'd never go and put your arm around someone at the mall, because that's just it's just a form of respect. And people feel like just because you're dressed up, they feel like they know you, or they feel like they know that character, so they feel like that wall is broken already, when really it's not. I don't know you. You're handing me your child sometimes, and you don't know me, and here you are, like, asking me to hold your 2-year-old because you want a picture of that? Ask. All you have to do is ask.
Now, let's get to that petition for San Diego Comic-Con, because I have an opinion about it. I don't know what yours is. Now, continue to explain what that is, Natalie. What are they trying to get people to? What are they trying to get?
Is that the people want an anti-harassment clause in the Comic-Con program.
Well, specifically, they want anti-sexual harassment, because there's already a harassment clause in there.
Well, when I last saw it, it wasn't towards sexual harassment, it was towards cosplayers specifically. Because there is the article that I most read today, and if you guys want to look it up if you're listening, it's on comicbookresources.com. It's called Comic-Con Response to Anti-Harassment Petition. And basically they talked to the director of marketing and public relations about what this petition wants. And he responds by saying, we have a code of conduct. It's a paragraph, and yes, it's very loosely, what's what I'm looking for? It's very loosely written, but that's because all types of harassment is included.
He wanted it to be vague.
Yes. They don't want you to harass people because of, what sex they are. They don't want you to harass someone if, they're sitting in a wheelchair. Basically, it's a no tolerance rule across the board. As we lost Chad.
Just sweating over here. It's hot.
Yes.
I might get.
He basically said it's really a broad rule for that reason.
Now, my take, and again, I'm not a cosplayer. This is just my take as somebody who attends cons. One of the arguments that I've heard and read about this that they're unhappy about is that, again, they won't make a specific clause in there for it, but that they also won't provide special training to their volunteers and such to deal with cosplay harassment. Now, my issue with that is as a business, cosplay is not required. They're not hiring cosplayers. They actually allow people to dress up and to devote time, money, and resources to that. And again, it's something that makes a ton of money. To something so specific as that, I personally, from a business standpoint, don't see it, especially when you do when they are responsive to harassments of all type. It's not like they're turning a blind eye to a rape going on in a dark corner somewhere. It just seems to me a little redundant that you now have to teach your people, which are a ton of them are volunteers, how to deal with observing people's reactions to cosplayers and dealing with it and what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. I mean, if I go and I grab a chick's ass because it's hanging out there, that's inappropriate no matter what. I don't feel that there should have to be a specialized thing to tell me that, this is because it's cosplay and so on and so forth. And it seems to be overly redundant to me as a non-cosplayer.
No, and I understand what you're saying, and I get it. But David, the guy who was interviewed, he himself said at San Diego Comic-Con specifically, they have the police department there on hand. They have hired several security companies there. He didn't want to give too much about what exactly their security detail includes, but he says, everyone is trained to know how to deal with harassment. Maybe not specifically cosplay harassment, but all you have to do if you feel harassed as a cosplayer, as someone at the con in general, is walk up to one of those guys in the yellow shirts, in the security shirts, and say, hey, I'm feeling harassed by this person and this is why. And they are trained to deal with a basic level of harassment. There are people on the floor that know how to deal with that. My big problem with this article was, and the first time I saw Cosplays Not Consent was actually at WonderCon in Anaheim. My big problem with this is two things. One, they are saying specifically for San Diego Comic-Con. And I personally feel like they are singling out San Diego Comic-Con because it is one of the biggest cons that we do in the United States. So
well, they are. Not to interrupt you, they're also doing it because other big cons have addressed it specifically, and San Diego Comic-Con is refusing to. Yeah, Emerald City was one of them. But just because a con decides that it wants to address it doesn't mean every con has to. Yeah. And they're now latching on to San Diego Comic-Con, and to me, okay, it's getting more eyes on it, yes, but is it that huge of a problem only at San Diego and not in Anaheim? Not really. It's kind of even across the board. My other problem is that I don't think we're putting enough responsibility on everyone across the board. I hear sirens, sorry.
It's not me.
Yeah. I'm cooking in here and my window's open. Jesus,
I think there needs to be more responsibility put on the quote-unquote innocent bystander, because I, as the cosplayer, if I see something happening that I'm uncomfortable with, yes, I should say something 100%. But am I always going to see the guy putting his camera up my skirt? Am I always going to see the guy taking his zoom lens and zooming in on an inappropriate place? No. But Joe Schmo, who's standing next to me at the booth, or the guy who's over here taking another picture, if he sees that, I think it's completely within his rights and my rights for him to say, dude, that's not cool. You're taking a picture of something inappropriate. I think that the rule should be, if you see something, you say something. Whether it's you see someone stealing something or you see someone doing something inappropriate, you say something out loud. And that's my take on that.
All right. Did you have any last comments on it, Luke, before we wrap up this segment?
I think, well, I think there's a line that's crossed by people who aren't cosplaying, but then I kind of feel like when there's other cosplayers and you're in character, like whenever my Spider-Man is near a group of Deadpools, there's going to be inappropriate stuff happening instantly. Just for 30 minutes, we're just going to be grabbing each other, touching each other in places where if we weren't in costume would be totally inappropriate. So I think I don't know. I think it also depends on the situation. But if someone took a picture of my junk and put it on the internet on a website called cosplayersjunk.com, I
Wait.
don't know how
Hang
I
on.
feel
Let me
about
check.
that.
Let me check that.
Chad, you probably shouldn't.
Actually, there's this Instagram called Cosplayers Eating, and that's it. It's just at Cosplayers Eating, and it's just him taking pictures of cosplayers eating. I don't know how I feel about that.
I hate it.
I'm 50-50 on it because one, I think it's hilarious, but two, it's kind of if he asks the person afterwards, hey, can I put you on, or do you want me to delete this picture? Then I'd be okay with it. But it's just
that's where that public domain to me thing comes in. You're in a public place. I mean, I understand that it's rude, or that it may be. I'm not gonna do it to to that, but I've done it to friends and then posted it. I mean,
yeah, but they're not your friends. You don't know them personally. You know?
These are people you don't know.
But you are eating in a public place.
That's
true. It just, if you don't want that to happen,
how do you feel about
eat in a
people of
costume in a
Walmart?
public place.
People of Walmart.com.
You're in a public place looking like that. You open yourself
I
to
think it's hysterical, but at the same time, it I don't think it's
I
right.
ended up on there.
I
don't think it's right, even though I have seen the site and I think it's hysterical.
You shouldn't go out in public like that then. I mean, public domain and private domain are two different things. Now, if you're in your house, that's wrong, or your backyard or whatever, that's wrong. But even your backyard sometimes is considered
just
public
because
domain.
I'm sitting at a convention in costume,
I didn't say that it was tactful, but
doesn't mean that it's okay.
Yeah.
I now bring a sheet or something to cover myself with while I'm eating, so people don't feel the need to take pictures of me while I'm eating. And if they do, they're not getting anything good.
All right, let's move on to our final segment, which is news. Who's got a news thing for me? A little news ticker. Something? Nobody?
I don't
Anybody?
No,
No.
I don't.
You don't? Come on. Luke, I know you can do something for him. What do you got? Come on, Luke. I know you got one. There we go. All right. Entertainment news. Thanks, Luco. That was terrible, but
That's better than what I could do. You got something good with him.
So entertainment news this week. Let's briefly go through this. Brandon Routh to play a major DC Comics hero in Season 3 of Arrow.
I'm excited about that. I love him as an actor. He's a great actor. He was in Chuck.
He was great in Chuck. Hilarious in Chuck.
I like him as an actor. It wasn't his fault that Superman failed. I'm going to say that.
It was Bryan Singer's.
It's Bryan Singer's fault.
100%
Everything that
Bryan
happened.
Singer's fault.
He did a great job in trying to get us away from the fact. He did a great Christopher Reeve kind of Superman, but it was a terrible movie. I gotta say, there's a lot of stuff
looks like him a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy, and he's perfect for superhero roles because he works out every morning for 3 hours.
I like him already.
He's got a great workout routine. I've seen it. He diets. He was great in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah,
he played the vegan. I don't know. I just enjoy him as an actor. He makes me smile every time he comes on the screen.
So he's going to be playing the Atom.
Yeah, that's who I was talking about earlier, actually.
Yeah, the Atom is he's a character that's been in several renditions of the cartoon and everything. He's a scientist that can decrease his size and objects around him. So it really seems like Arrow will be going full bore into supers because they haven't done supers. Really, I mean, you had Deathstroke, but it was the Mirakuru and everything, and then until we get Flash. So now that Flash has kind of broken that super cherry, wow, that didn't even sound like coming out of my own mouth. Yeah, it sounds like they're going to go full bore into it because they're also adding, is it Firestar? Was it to Arrow? That just came out today? Stephen Amell's cousin. Is going to be
I just posted about
super.
that. His Robbie Amell is going to be playing Firestorm.
Firestorm, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're really tacking on the supers. So it's going to be fun to see what DC does with these couple of shows.
And they do a great job, the CW, with here. No, I'm not going to play that. Never mind. They do a Yeah, no, they do a great job with the Flash and all the special effects and stuff. I was gonna do a screen share, but I don't know if I'm allowed to since it hasn't come out yet.
No, you can't really. I can't. It would just. It's mostly audio. That people will listen to this on. If you're watching, which there are a few people watching now and tweeting me and everything, thank you so much.
Tweet me too.
Tweet Natalie as well at Princess Natkins. So the second news topic is Elsa is cast.
Oh my God! Terrible casting job. She's not like the character is supposed to be this beautiful princess who's just like it's not
totally misunderstood.
This girl named Anna Faith would have been so much better. You should look her up. Her name's ANNA space.
I would have been better.
ITH. Anna Faith is a great actor, singer. She auditioned for the role too. She went there and she auditioned for the role. Everyone thought she was gonna get it, and then they picked the girl from The Fringe. Like, oh my God, it's the worst casting decision of all time.
Okay, so if you don't know who it is, the girl that was cast for Once Upon a Time's Elsa is Georgina Haig, if I'm saying it correctly. She is probably is best known for her very short stint on Fringe. A few episodes, playing Peter and Olivia's daughter in the future. I thought she was very good in that. I like with this. I'm more of the wait and see what happens kind of thing. I think she could be good. I'm not afraid of the casting. I think Once Upon a Time has had some missteps, but has really picked it up, especially this past season.
The show has already lost me as a viewer, and it's definitely not getting me back now that they're adding A, Frozen, or B, this casting into the mix. If there's one show I will not be watching this season, it will 100% be Once Upon a Time. It's lost me for good.
And maybe it's because I'm not as... What are you doing there?
That's Anna Faith.
Okay.
She auditioned for the role, and she looks so much better for it, and she's a great actress.
Yeah. Is she the actress, or she's the girl that just looks like it?
She's the girl that looks like it, but they actually gave her a chance to audition for it, and she's a really good singer, too. Like, I think she's pretty good for the part.
She might not have had the chops. Who knows?
Whoa.
I don't know what just happened there.
That was cool.
But, okay, I think that's probably enough on that. Again, maybe I'm not as big a Disney file. I really enjoy the show, and I think some of it has a good cheese factor, but I think it has a pretty fun mythology where they deal with a lot of the different characters.
I like who they picked for Rumpelstiltskin. That was a pretty good decision too. Like, they'd make good casting decisions, and I don't understand where that one came from at all.
Yeah. Up until this point.
I'm a little well, they also did cast Anna and what's the other?
Kristoff. Yeah,
they look the part. Yeah. So they're a little more wait and see because they don't really have much of a history in acting. So the final piece of news that we're going to talk about tonight is the trailer for Sharknado 2. We had to talk about it.
I'd rather talk about Exodus. Yeah.
No, we're not talking about Exodus. I don't even know. Oh, that's right. I did the Exodus. We'll talk about Exodus then.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a trailer too.
They had 8 trailers, man.
Let's talk about Sharknado real quick. You guys watched the first one.
If you guys aren't watching,
terrible.
I just rolled my eyes.
It was so terrible. It was.
Okay, there's movies.
It's one of those ones you can sit with your friends and just enjoy that they're so bad. And
there's movies that are good because they're bad. This is not one of them. Like Ghoulies, that's a movie that was good because it was bad. There's tons of movies like Chucky. That was a bad movie, but everyone loves it because it's a stupid little good, flick. But this movie it's bad acting, it's bad effects, it's bad idea, a shark tornado. I hated it. I had to be drunk to watch it.
That's what's so great about it. And again, see, you have to be sitting with some friends and having some drinks and talking some shit about it. It's the second one seems like they're just revering in that, and it's shit, this a shark tornado is happening.
I couldn't even sit through the stupid trailer. I got like less than halfway through, and I was like, I'm becoming stupider from watching this. I'm wasting my time. I had to turn it off.
I think I'll get drunk and watch it, and then just never talk about it again.
I wouldn't admit to that.
Did you say Goonies or Ghoulies was a bad movie, Luke?
Ghoulies.
Ghoulies. I told you said Ghoulies. I didn't say good. My wife's like, hold on. Did he just talk shit about Goonies?
No, I would never talk shit about Goonies.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Goonies never say die.
So yeah, actually, that does. You reminded me. The last bit was the trailer for Exodus: Gods and Kings.
Such a better thing to talk about because I love.
Why don't you talk about it, Luke? Tell us about it. Tell us about
yeah, let's do it. I love Ridley Scott, and
Yes.
I love the story. Growing up, my favorite movie was Prince of Egypt, and that's this story just in like a real life scenario, kind of big. What was that movie? Kingdom of Heaven kind of feel to it. Just I love the actors they picked for it. I love Christian Bale. He's my favorite method actor of all time. He's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Maybe not favorite person.
Maybe not a favorite person. He's kind of a dick.
He's pretty much a douchebag.
But I don't judge people about how they are. If I judge people how they act, just like Pussycat Dolls, they said a lot of racist stuff once, and I don't judge people's music by how they act in real life. That's why I like Tom Cruise. He's a great actor. I don't care what he does in his personal life.
Now, let me just read the audience the little bit. If you haven't heard about Exodus, I'll just read you the little bit here. From acclaimed director Ridley Scott, Gladiator, Prometheus, and he's done a million other things, comes the epic adventure Exodus: Gods and Kings. This, whatever the hell that was, the story of one man's daring courage to take on the might of an empire. Using state-of-the-art visual effects and 3D immersion, Scott brings new life to the story of the defiant leader Moses. Christian Bale, wow, if your ego couldn't get any better, Christian, get any bigger. As he rises up against the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses, setting 600,000 slaves on a monumental journey of escape from Egypt and its terrifying cycle of deadly plagues. That trailer is up on geekswithwives.com right now under entertainment. Go take a look at it. It does look exciting. It's a little ways off, but it does look like it's going to be another big thing. Some big sprawling movie, and it's Ridley Scott. You could talk some smack that maybe Ridley Scott isn't up to date in this stuff, and a lot of people did not like Prometheus.
I didn't care for it.
I've watched Prometheus. I think you have to watch it a couple of times, and I've actually went back and watched it 2 or 3 times in the extended version and have liked it more and more each time. But I'm a huge Aliens fan and of all of that mythology. So it kind of spoke to me a little bit more. But yeah, I really did like Prometheus. So that.
Hey,
what?
Tomorrow the Emmy nominations will be put out.
Okay. So next week.
As a piece of
next
news.
Week, Natalie won't be here.
No.
Natalie won't be here next week, but I will be here. I will be here, and I'll get a ragtag team together to talk to you about maybe Emmy nominations and other news. I think we're actually going to be talking about. I think it's Tommy's going to join me. Tommy, who's one of our contributors on Geeks with Wives, is working on a topic for next week about directors that you don't really know who they are. Something along the lines of you don't really know who they were till their big movie came out, and kind of talking about those smaller movies that they worked on before they made it big. And actually, Tim Burton, I think, is one of the people that he mentioned, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and no one really realizes that he did that, and didn't really.
Ed Wood.
And Ed Wood. So we are going to wrap this up. We're running a little long here, and we'll go ahead and move into our final thoughts and all of our wonderful plugs and all that good stuff. So why don't you start that up for us, Natalie?
Yeah, Comic-Con's 2 weeks away, you guys. I'm really excited to see those of you that are going to be there. Tweet me, let me know if you're coming out. My Twitter is Princess N Atkins, and find me on Facebook at facebook.com/official Natalie Atkins. And if you want to get in shape in this last 2 weeks, check out Geek Out Your Workout on YouTube. That's my workout channel.
We will be featuring another geek out your workout this Sunday. So
a new one will post on Sunday, and then another one will post on like Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
Well, you post them regularly. We promote them kind of on a 3-week cycle, so we're obviously on Geeks with Wives a little behind on it. But if you want to go check us out, you can see Natalie's stuff there in the cosplay section.
Yeah, go to the website. It'll take you to my page.
Yep. So, Luke, you want to give us your final thought?
I was going to go to SDCC and a couple other events, but then I had to go and break my foot. So Spider-Man is kind of out of the picture right now for a while. But I just made my cosplay page. It's on Facebook.com/Chaos Prince Cosplay, and that's Prince, Prince, Chaos, CHAOS. And my Instagram is BBOYOPTIX. And I post a lot of my new cosplay stuff and my work in progresses and videos of me dancing and working out. Because me and Natalie are big on the working out.
Yeah, if we're in the same place, we should make a video.
Oh, hell yeah. I'd be down.
Awesome.
Yeah, I do have a Spidey workout video coming out soon. I might put it on my Instagram and my Chaos Prince cosplay page. So that'll be fun.
Cool. And Luke also does have some of his workouts and some of his cosplay stuff in the cosplay section on geekswithwives.com as well. So I think I've pretty much said most of what I need to say tonight. We do have a couple of things coming up. Again, please take a look at geekswithwives.com. A lot of amazing things going on there. A lot of great content. A lot of original content. Just check it out. Check it out on a daily basis. You won't be disappointed. We got San Diego Comic-Con coming up. We have our first event for Geeks for Courageous Kids. I know you've heard me talking about that. That's coming up next Saturday. We still have a podcast between now and then, but we'll be doing that with the Ronald McDonald House and all those good things and several cosplayers. And so in a couple of weeks we'll have an update on that, how that went. But
Chad, do you mind if I mention something really fast?
Sure.
My girlfriend Brandy, who used to work on the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland, her 7-year-old daughter was diagnosed with leukemia while visiting California, and is actually going through a month worth of treatment. Can't go home for a month. So we have I don't want to say a Kickstarter, but basically we're raising funds for Brandy and Lily Bell, which is the name of her daughter. So if you guys are feeling up to it and want to donate, or if you want to get a T-shirt that says "I support Lily Bell," head to Geeks with Wives, find my page. I have information there on my page. If you can donate, it's great. If not, just spread the word, and that will just be doing enough for us. So.
You can also find that information on geekswithwives.com under podcasts, under the show notes for Comics Podcast episode 48. We do have links to everything on there that Natalie is talking about for Team Lily Bell.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, we did put that up there a couple weeks ago, so hopefully some people have taken a look at that.
Awesome little girl, just a little ray of sunshine, and she the last couple days she wasn't doing so well, but hopefully she'll start getting better soon.
All right, so if you want to find me, I'm at Chad M. Osuna on Twitter, and if you want to email me, if you have any mail, any questions, any hate, any love, you can email me at chad.osuna@geekswithwives.com. But for me and the rest of the Popcorn crew, I want to bid you farewell, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.